Good morning, warriors. Fernando here, and welcome to God's Prepared Warrior. I am excited to be here with you on this Tuesday in this video. And thank you guys for joining me last night. Those of you who came out to join me last night, was a great live stream. Last night we had talked about a great subject, looked at a very sad story, but we learned yesterday the importance of building a family plan. Now, if you missed the live stream, I'm going to tag it in the description below, so that way you guys know what I'm talking about, because today I'm going to kind of segue from a piece I'm adding to what we talked about last night today to this video. And I want you guys to really start to begin to understand the importance of, prepping, not alone or by yourself, but with others. So today I want to talk to you about don't wait for the emergency to meet your neighbors, right? This is an important one, guys. This is a preparedness lesson that many people kind of overlook, right? One of your greatest survival resources may just be living right next door to you. When disaster strikes, the first people to help are usually not federal agencies or larger organizations. They are actually your neighbors. They're the people across the street. They're the people next door, right? The family that is catty corner to you, right? The retired couple around the corner, the person you've waved to for years but never really met, right? And community is a force multiplier, right? No one can do everything alone. You can't. You cannot. And so one neighbor may have medical training. Another may own a generator. Someone else may, know how to do plumbing, electrical work, or maybe even mechanics, right? Another family may have extra food or tools. And so when people work together, everyone becomes stronger, right? Preparedness has, never been just about the individual, right? Even if you go all the way back, right, to the prepper shows, right, that came out on Discovery Channel, Doomsday Preppers, right? There wasn't about one person. It was about a family, right? And so it's not about just individual people. It has always been about community, right? And the important thing is we need to build relationships. That's just the bottom line, right? Before you ever need them. That's the important thing. We got to build them before you ever need them, right? Don't wait until the lights go out to introduce yourself. That's just kind of, I don't know. Maybe that is the thing that kind of kicks it off, right? For you to talk to them. But it's always better to do it before the emergency happens, right? And I think it's important for us to start doing that today, right? Learn your neighbors' names, exchange phone numbers, right? Not right away, as you get to know them, as that relationship builds, right? And do that with the people that you trust, right? Offer to help them when someone is in need. Those small acts of kindness kind of build trust long before an emergency arrives, right? Be the neighbor others can count on, right? Trust me, there's plenty of neighbors that you wish they weren't your neighbor. But it's important for you to be that neighbor that everybody loves, because that neighbor is such a helping neighbor. You be that person, right? Ask yourself, if disaster struck tonight or today or this morning, would my neighbors know they could come to me, right? Would they know that I would help if I was able? Maybe you ask yourself, am I building a reputation of being dependable, right? I'm going to be honest with you. The neighbors across the street from me, we're really good friends with them. We've gone a couple of times for dinner with them. And, tragically, my neighbor's brother died. And so the Lord has used that opportunity to lead him to God. And so, it's not just about preparedness. It's about you being a neighbor, right? It's about you being there and caring for somebody, right? And so you're building this reputation. And I know that if poop ever hit the fan, they would come across the street because they know who Fernando is. And, they've seen Fernando outside his front yard with his radio equipment and talking into a microphone and people talking back to him. And they're like, this guy's weird. But when poop hits the fan, guess where they're going to go? They're going to remember the crazy guy across the street, right? and so prepared warriors don't just prepare for themselves. They prepare so that they can serve others, right? A strong neighborhood is a safer neighborhood. That is like so epically awesome to know that, a strong neighborhood is a safer neighborhood. Not a lot of people think about that. There's been times where it's the middle of the night, we're coming in, maybe it's like around 9:30, 10 o'clock, and we're coming home. And there was one night that there was somebody at my neighbor's house that I've never seen before. And I said, hey, somebody's digging in your trash. And I confront this person, and, they made an excuse. And, they're like, well, I'm just getting something from here. And they left, right? And I text my neighbor. I'm like, hey, somebody's digging in your trash. And so he came out and he was thankful that I was letting him know that somebody was on his yard. And so, a strong neighborhood is a safer neighborhood. And so when neighbors know one another, right, suspicious activity is noticed. Prime example, right? It's noticed more quickly. Elderly residents are, checked on. Children have more people looking out for them, right? Families recover faster after disasters. Preparedness isn't only about supplies. It's about relationships, right? It's about those relationships that we build, and that's an important prep to have, right? What's the spiritual lesson here? Jesus said in Mark 12:31, he said, love your neighbor as yourself. Those words take on a whole new meaning during difficult times. Loving your neighbor isn't just about being friendly. Sometimes it means sharing your food, right? I was sharing with, my wife, long ago are the days, when someone lost a family member. I remember when my grandparents passed, people I've never ever met before were coming to our house, and they were bringing us food, and they were bringing us snacks and things, so that we wouldn't have to worry about doing those things. I don't see anybody doing that anymore. I think we need to go back to that, right? It sometimes means sharing food. It sometimes means being there for somebody when they're going through difficult times themselves, right? Helping, if a disaster happens, helping clear debris after a storm, checking on the elderly couple during a heat wave, right? We're having all this El Nino stuff going on, and it's hot, and so it's important to check on your neighbors, right? Even if God uses you to pray for someone who has lost everything, right? We have to be ready, not just in a preparedness kind of way, but how God wants to use you to help somebody else. And so as Christians, we are called to be kind, that kind of neighbor, that people can turn to when hope seems lost. And I think that's important. Today I want to challenge you. Make one intentional connection. Introduce yourself, to a neighbor. Check on someone who lives alone, right? Exchange phone numbers with a trusted family nearby, right? Or simply just ask, is there anything that I can pray for you about? Those words right there are always encouraging, and someone is always in need of God. And so why wouldn't we do that, right? You may be planting the seeds of a relationship that God will use someday when our community needs it the most. Remember, preparedness is stronger when it's shared, right? Build your pantry, build your skills. Not only build your skills, but share your skills, right? Don't forget to build your community. Stay connected. Stay faithful. Always, always, always. And remember, stay vigilant and stay prepared. So guys, thank you for joining me yesterday on the live stream. I will link that in the description below so that you can go back and check out the replay if you missed it. And I will, we have to build community. So let's build community. Let's start doing that. Take the challenge today. Meet somebody and just tell them who you are. My name's Fernando, and I work in the nonprofit sector. And how can I pray for you? Simple, right? That's how relationships start. All right, guys, have a great Tuesday today, and hope to see you on tomorrow's video. And be safe out there, and know that I'm praying for you. God bless.